All right. Welcome to Shabbat Lounge. This is Matt.
And Jake.
And we want to thank you for stopping by and taking a minute to listen. And as always, we ask you to comment, to like, to rate our podcast channel, and share this with someone that you think might find it interesting. I do appreciate those of you that have rated the channel. We have 5 stars in iTunes. Thank you very much for that. And so Jake, we're going to start something new. And Jake, can we be honest?
I wish we could, Matt. I really do.
So what do you wrote this, and what do you mean by can we be honest?
Well, basically, I was just, I think about some things now and then, and things pop in my mind, and it's like, I think a lot of people that happens to, but it just disappears into the ether. But I am in a position where I can just jot those thoughts down real quick, and a lot of times it's stuff that's obvious, and people just don't say it for some reason. So I started putting a list together of things where it's like, can we be honest? And then you say the thing, and then after you say the thing, you go, there, I said it. So
very good.
Then people know it's out there, and people aren't sitting on it anymore.
Right, get it off their chest. Well, so we're going to start sprinkling this in between episodes, and so these are going to be short and sweet, and so we'll just dive right into it. So
yeah, just some observational. Some might be humorous.
Yes.
Some might be controversial.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
So one day we can take this on the road and have our own stand-up
yes.
comedian show.
Yeah, that's the
plan.
That was the plan all along.
Yes, our Netflix special.
Yeah.
So we may have to work on a few things before we go there.
Well, that's this. This is the trial run.
Yes, that's right.
If we get enough views.
Yes, yes, we'll see. So why don't you just start with the first one?
Okay, so can we be honest? So there are so many caveats to the Wright Brothers being the first in flight that it's almost like being the go-to was a political decision. Like the fact that they went to the Wright Brothers as these are the guys that started aviation, basically, is what we look back to it as now.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what kind of politics was involved in that, because it's, like I was saying, the caveats to it. It's never just the first in flight. It's the first manned, powered, controlled flight, right?
Right.
It's like, why didn't those other guys get the leg up on this first in flight discussion?
Yeah, that's good. Well, and it's the same thing with Thomas Edison. Latimer is the guy that really figured out how to create something that would burn in a light bulb, but Thomas Edison got the credit. But it was a guy that worked for him that really figured it out. And and some people would argue that Edison stole all of his stuff from Tesla, possibly. And I think there's a long history of people that we've given credits for certain things that it's kind of questionable. It's like, what did they really do? I don't know.
Yeah, it's whoever has the best marketing scheme, I think.
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Or the most ruthless that just hangs on to it and tells the story enough times, eventually everyone believes them.
Right. So there, I said it. So then the next one, there's this discussion on like good and evil. I think the essentially the Jewish thought is that there's the angels, right? They have no capacity to choose good or evil. So it's as if we would be, it's the way we would be without free will. And that they're a deterministic good. So my understanding from listening to someone who's Jewish, practicing Jewish, explain it, that's their idea. Can we be honest? Satan. I mean, is he a deterministic good? You could say he's good in that he performs the duty he was created to perform, essentially. But again, he is fallen.
Mm-hmm.
So how deterministic good is he?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now that makes sense. I feel like for sure the deities, they have free will just like we do, and that's why we see Satan fall. He had a choice, and he clearly chose badly. But you're talking about his role, and I always see Satan as being like the ambulance chasing trial lawyer. And he's got kind of greasy, slicked back hair and kind of long hair, and he's wearing the fancy suit and the sunglasses, and he's driving the Maserati or whatever you want him to drive. But he's pretty slick, and he is the accuser, and he does have a role. If we're covered in the blood of Yeshua, there's nothing to accuse. But it is interesting. It's a deep rabbit hole in what you're talking about.
Right. It's not a short little discussion to clear all that up.
But clearly, to say that angels don't have like the ability to choose, I can't buy that, because he was a created angel, and he, I don't understand how they can say that.
Yeah, you would have to make the case that he could not have chose any other way but to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And now, yes, he does have a purpose. He was created for a purpose. And so do your research on it. There's definitely a lot about that subject.
Sure, and I think you're right. He was created for a purpose, but he picked what he wanted. He didn't necessarily fulfill the original intention, and it wasn't because he was made imperfect. He had free will, and he picked the wrong one. So yeah.
So there.
Well, that's good.
And then let's see, the next one. So something that kind of bothers me a little, I guess, is in the society we live in now, there's this whole deal with virtue signaling, and making the case that, oh, I'm so better because XYZ.
I don't know what virtue signaling is.
Oh, okay. So for example, it's like excuse me.
Was that virtually? Like, was that?
I was virtually signaling you.
Okay.
There. No. So virtue signaling is like when you feign outrage for the sake of people looking at you and going, "Oh, they care so much that they're just great. They're a great person because they care more than anyone else."
Like Greta.
Sure.
Do you know who I'm talking about? Greta the girl, climate change.
How dare you, Matt? How dare you?
But she definitely comes across as someone like that a little bit to me. So
that would be an example, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But what gets me is there's a lot of people calling that kind of thing out, like, quit your virtue signaling. And then they'll say, oh, I got my book's number 1 on the bestsellers list. Or I'm the I don't know if I can say that. I'm the Jewiest Jew that ever Jewed, right? Or whatever, or I'm the Torahist person that ever Torah'd, right? And it's just this whole... And then you see them in another situation, and they're like, all that goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And you see them kind of doing things in a way to, fit in with the cool guy or whatever. But I'm not sure how relevant that is. That's just something that drives me nuts, and I've noticed. And that's the whole idea here with Can We Be Honest? Can we be honest? There's people out there that are virtue signaling and then complaining about virtue signaling at the same time. There, I said it.
Yeah.
You probably run into that a lot.
I don't think I do, because I had no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
These kids these days, I do know that they say the soch for social media.
Ooh, see, I don't
That's
even know
about all
that.
I know.
I don't know any of that. So, and then the next one here, just try to follow along. So just because a policy works on an individual basis,
Right.
let's consider whatever policy you might, a rule you make up in the house.
Like, you can't leave your house.
Ooh, that's one. That's relevant, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, a policy that works on an individual basis doesn't mean it works as a legal system, right? Consider the believe all women situation, right? Individually,
You talking about the Me Too movement?
I think you mean #MeToo.
Yes, #MeToo.
Yes. And, but, so individually, I would want to believe my friend that came to me and said this terrible thing happened. But, you have to consider also, I have no authority to do anything about that situation that happened. I can go to the authorities, but I can't take any authority on myself and exact change or fix the situation. So the standard of proof then, when you're dealing with a situation where the state's involved, right, the standard of proof is going to be higher because they don't know you, they don't care about you, and so it might work individually between friends, but to make
like
that
a
into a legal
case.
system,
Yeah.
you can't do that. It's the same as, you can't base your legal system on feelings either, because because in the heat of the moment you're going to make one decision, and when you have time to think of it about it and how it is going to affect other things, clearly you would make a different decision.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when it comes to con men and criminals. They wouldn't be where they are if they couldn't talk people into things, and so they're pretty good. So that's why you can't be on feelings, because everyone is innocent.
Yeah.
And they can tell you some sad story about their life and why it's so terrible and why they did what they did, and it couldn't be based on feelings.
Right. It's like in your house, you're kind of a communist dictator, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't work. Like in real life, out in this,
and especially in your life when your children are young. I mean, you dictate everywhere they go, who they hang out with, when they go, what they eat, what they don't eat, what they watch, what they don't watch, what they wear.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, it's good when it's a child, but as adults, I mean, now it's like if my son were to tell my daughter would dictate to my daughter. That's the equivalent there, not father to son.
Yeah.
So the next one, if you go back a few episodes around the introduction with Jake episode, you'll remember that we did this discussion on an argument I put together called the Hebrew Hammer. And we're still looking for comments on it.
Yes. So please send those in.
Yeah.
Operators are standing by.
Exactly. So the whole point of it was for reference is to go back, and I had to prove to myself that what I was seeing with Torah was accurate, and that argument I made up is basically a proof text of why we should be keeping Torah. So now, can we be honest? If you're going to try to invalidate the Hebrew Hammer argument, you either would conclude yes but or no because.
Yep, correct.
And I say that because whenever I bring it up to someone, it always goes off the rails, and they skip right past the argument and go, well, what about this and this and this? It's like, well, hang on, that's not even part of the argument. It's, know how to invalidate the argument. And I explain it up front, how to invalidate it. And it always leads to like, but Paul says, well, but that time Paul went down there, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to stick to the argument if you're going to invalidate it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then, here, this one is, I'm just going to say this one, okay? So there's a verse that says, have you ever heard someone say, and Yeshua sweat blood?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me read the verse here. Luke 22:44. And being in an agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. So that word, as it were, is, now my Greek is not the best, but it's like hosei or some such, right? And it's saying that he sweat like as if it were blood, is what he's really saying. He sweat like it was blood coming out.
So you're saying it's a simile or a metaphor? Which one is it?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Simile is like or as, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying simile.
Yeah, he sweat like, yeah.
It's a fact that it's a simile.
Mm-hmm.
Fact simile. So,
simile.
So there's a secret code in there, in what I just said there. But no, so there I said it. I'm not riding the rail of he was sweating blood. I'm riding the rail of he sweat as if it were blood.
Right. Big drops.
Yeah.
That fell on the ground.
Like, man, this guy is going through some stuff.
Yeah. He's in stress mode.
Yeah. Not that he's lifting 1,000 pounds and the blood has nowhere else to go but shoot out of his pores.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so there I said it.
Yeah, I don't think he was a bloody mess after that.
No.
And you probably would be, I would think. You kind of need...
Yeah.
Especially since they always have him in white. And that probably wouldn't look good.
Yeah, you never see the picture after that.
That's right.
And you don't really think about it after, like, he was covered in blood when these guys came to get him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'd think that would scare them away. Like,
maybe. Mm-hmm. Or they would be like, hey, this man's already down. This is going to be easy.
Right. But anyway, so that was the last one I had for today.
All right. Well, sounds good. Look forward to more, and please give us some suggestions and tell us what you think, and we'd be open to some more ideas here.
Yep. If you can't be honest with people, be honest with us.
Yes, and be honest with yourself. Start there.
Above all, yeah.
Yes.
And if you have any of your own can we be honest type observations, put them in the comments, let us know somehow, and if we deem it worthy, then your voice will shine through the interwebs as our voice, and perhaps we'll include it.
Yes, awesome. Well, as always, we appreciate you taking time to stop by and listen. And as always, we thank you for listening to Shabbat Lounge, and ask you to leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you later. Thank you.
Bye.